Alright, hi guys, I'm Antoine as always, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about COLL, so corners orientation of the last layer. And I'll be discussing if it's actually advantageous, specifically for two-handed solving. I will be doing a video on one-handed solving, probably the next video I'll be doing, so stay tuned for that for sure. Now, doing a quick browsing on YouTube for this topic, I find a couple videos, and it seems that they both come to the conclusion that COLL is definitely worth it. Now, why would it be that way? They cite notably that it's useful to avoid bad cases, of course, that the benefits that you get from an easier EPLL recognition far outweigh the drawbacks of recognizing COLL, that you get more PLL skips, and that your PLL will be much faster since the algs are faster, and also that those algs can be done from more angles. Now personally, I have been of the opinion that COLL for two-handed is definitely not worth it. I find that, well, many COLL algs are significantly slower than the fastest OLL for that case. Also, even though COLL recognition is decently fast, it certainly is not as fast as just OLL recognition. Sometimes you can even recognize the OLL during last slot and often cancel into it. EPLL recognition is not necessarily faster than PLL recognition either, as it is common to recognize PLL using just two sides at a glance. That means that overall, total recognition is slower with COLL and not the other way around. And yeah, okay, EPLLs are generally slightly faster than regular PLLs, but not by very much, and not for every case. The multiple angles argument isn't valid either, since with regular OLL, you have a much greater chance of being able to solve the OLL without having to do as much AUF. So though you might save some AUF during PLL with COLL, you save some during OLL with regular OLL. Finally, the skips. That is a bit of an advantage, but not actually that much when you think about it. The PLL skips you get will be more frequent, but of a lesser magnitude than if you were simply doing OLL and PLL, because with COLL you already have to do a slower alg, and you have to spend more time recognizing it in order to get that skip. With regular OLL PLL, they would happen less often, but you'd probably get faster singles because you don't have to spend the time trying to recognize the case, and you're going to be using a much better alg before you get that skip, resulting in better singles, although less really good singles, just very few really good singles. So ultimately, I find that the overall advantages of COLL don't really compensate for its disadvantages. Still, this is only speculation, and the real evidence is clearly missing. But this is something easily quantifiable, so I decided it was time to put this all to a test. I used CS Timer's ZB last layer scrambles in order to get the last layer scrambled with the cross solved. This way, I only compare situations where you'd use either one or the other alg set, making it possible to directly compare how they deal with the same cases. Then, I did an average of 50 solves on each, a large enough number for the results to be statistically significant, but still small enough so that tiredness doesn't affect the results. Now, something to note though is that I didn't use the soon COLLs, well, since I don't really know them, or at least I don't know good algs for them. And this shouldn't really modify the results significantly, since it would just ever so slightly reduce the gap between the two sets of data. And, well, most people don't use soon COLLs anyways, so it would be kind of pointless to include those in my study. Alright, now that that's done, what were the results? Well, nothing really. The average of 50 for OLL and PLL was 2.39, compared to 2.52 with COLL and EPLL. But that's only a sample, and can't necessarily be used to infer what the result is as a whole. But using the standard deviations and doing some statistical analysis, it can be concluded that there was no statistically significant difference between the two averages. In fact, the most useful statistic I could come up with this is that using COLL would have a 95% chance of either increasing my overall average by up to 0.03 seconds or reducing it by up to 0.01 seconds. So when it comes to margins that small, and margins going either way, clearly there really isn't any difference between one ALG set or another for the same cases. So there it is. According to this study, COLL has little to, well, no effect on two-handed times. No effect on the global average at all. Now, this is based off my own personal results, and this of course could vary on a person-to-person basis. I'm implying that it could be generalized to everyone else, but that's not necessarily the case. I'm sure that there are some people that are extra bad at recognizing COLL, and so COLL would have an even worse effect on their times. And I'm sure that there are other people that, let's say, are really bad at executing regular PLLs, but are very good at executing EPLLs, and so COLL would have a positive influence on their time. Nevertheless, I do think that the results that I got are pretty representative of what other top 3x3 solvers would get. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't learn it? Well, it's about an extra 30 ALGs. It's not really helpful for two-handed, as we can see from what I did today, but at least some COLL is necessary to learn any ZBLLs, and it might just be useful for other events, such as one-handed. Now that's something I'm going to be covering a little bit more in depth in upcoming videos. So what were your thoughts on this? Are you still convinced that COLL is the thing? Did you find a huge flaw in my analysis? Well, go ahead and comment. I'd love to hear what you want to say. As always, if you have any suggestions, please don't hesitate to write them up so that I can see and so that I know, so that I have a better inspiration of what to do for upcoming videos. Alright, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.